you have worked for a long time as a futurist, and how do you use imagination? What is the role of imagination in creating your futures stories? And how do you enhance imagination if you could?
Oh, yes. And then going back to our conversation about futures literacy, in fact, that's where the reframing comes in, right?
Yeah.
Right. The reframing phase is, I would say, not necessarily the easiest part of a futures literacy process, right? Because it's not easy to reframe things. And more often than not, that's the challenge, right? Because if we don't facilitate a process that gives people an immersive experience or process of imagining, we might end up filling in the blanks. All right. So even if you use different types of scenario methodologies, like for example, alternative futures, scenario archetypes, so forth and so on, if we fail on the imagining process, or if we fail in enhancing and expanding and making people realize about the value of knowing our cognitive limitations, we might not be able to reframe things. And we might end up filling in the blanks of alternative futures using a default future scenario. And that doesn't excite people. And we might end up just doing the things, or imagining the things that we have imagined before, right? And that is perhaps informed perhaps by Marvel movies, or Western-centric ways of knowing or worldviews. So I think, in my experience, is that as far as the imagining process is concerned, I think you are a philosopher, Shams. You've told me about this. Is we always go back to the questioning part, right?
Yeah.
So if we engage people into the process of not creating statements about the future or predicting about the future, but rather questioning things by asking questions about the future of their specific policy topic or imagination. And the intent of this questioning is not necessarily to find answers, but rather, if these questions remain unanswered, it gives people the opportunity, to imagine things. An answered question gives free rein to our imagination.
True, absolutely. Question leads you to imagine, yeah?
Yes, questioning gives free rein to imagination. Because questioning things, gives you the opportunity and, of course, the learning and the ability to accept things that you don't know what these things are and you don't have an answer for it. And if people realize that, including me, of course, us, and if you have this brilliant question, you start to wonder, right? And when people start to experience this wondering and wonderment, that they start to imagine things.